Hey everybody, it's your friend Kevin, and this is commitment number 6 of our 12 commitments to change. So we're about halfway through, and I'll just remind you what the list is. 12 commitments for change. This is all about perhaps the list of, what would you want to call them? Resolutions we may have made in the new year to stick with and go with. And how at some point some of them get dropped or don't even get adopted at all. And these 12 commitments for change perhaps help to keep the dots joined up and somewhat answer the questions as to why those commitments don't get made. So the first one, seek the truth, get to where we are, understand where we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it. Second one, be willing to come apart, be willing to understand that learning is a process and we should take apart where we are, what we're doing, and the reasons. And number 3, step out of the comfort zone. Come out of the ego-driven way that it's supposed to look this way, be this way, and talk this way, and walk this way, and have this and have that. Just because somebody else said so doesn't make it true. Number 4, committing to growing, being in the commitment that you want to change, that there's a desire within you that is seeking something more, the commitment to growing and changing as opposed to staying in that comfort place. And then number 5, the most recent, shifting the way you look at things, shifting the vision, taking a different mindset, taking a different look at it. And the cards that we drew for that one was basically taking a step back, finding the ease in things as opposed to being pushed and shoved. So today we go with drop what you know. Now this one is quite an interesting one in so much that, oh, by the way, I should give credit. These 12 commitments for growth come from the 12 laws of transformation that I learned during the 40 Days to Personal Revolution program that was inspired by, or at least started by, Baron Baptiste in his 40 Days to Personal Revolution program, which you can find at any of his studios. Probably take it online too. I've seen a few of those being advertised by Baptiste inspired or Baptiste affiliate studios throughout the country. And what I'll add to that, don't necessarily have to be into yoga or a yoga teacher or a yoga student to study these transformational commitments. So dropping what we know, well, just right there in that statement that I made, you don't have to be blap to do something, just do it. There's a point with all of us where we have this idea that we have to know everything completely by rote, or know everything completely as it's written, as it's taught, step by step, piece by piece. We have to know this knowledge before we go out and either share it or teach it or talk about it or understand it. There is a piece of the ego that believes that you are nobody unless you are credentialed within an inch of your life. It's not good enough to have an associate degree. You have to have a bachelor's. It's not good enough to have a bachelor's. You have to have a master's. It's not good enough to have a master's. You have to go and get your PhD. Not good enough to get your PhD. You have to become whatever, dean of university. I think knowledge is most definitely power, and it is necessary. I would hope that whatever surgeon, doctor, a lawyer, architect, engineer studied long and hard and understood the laws of physics and etc., whatever they needed to understand and do to be able to do the job. A chef, for example, really has to understand food, has to understand somewhat about physical nutrition, has to understand the perishables, the non-perishables, has to understand the stability of food, the temperature with which it has to be cooked in, and the way with which it goes together in a recipe. However, as you and I both know, some of the best chefs and cooks that we've ever had the pleasure of food that they've prepared were never really had degrees in culinary arts. Many did, but many do not. It is the same with entertainment. Great singers who have studied the instrument of their voice have gone and studied with incredible teachers for voice coaches, understanding the instrument of the voice or whatever you're studying. Those are the mechanics of what you do. At some point, that has to drop away for something more creative, more profound, more intuitive to emerge. So this one, the commitment to growth, number 6, drop what you know, is that dance between having an understanding for the premise with which you're doing something and then letting it rip, letting it just going with the flow. About 15 years ago, somewhere there, somebody said to me, who is now passed in spirit, who a friend of mine has had visitations with. His name in this life was Billy. Billy looked very much like Tallulah Bankhead and sounded very much like Betty Davis. He had this wonderful, dry sense of humor, and he could say things in such a cutting way, not to harm, but to speak the truth. He was a good friend of mine and made me laugh out loud, and he took life literally, but then expanded upon it. And Billy, who's with me in spirit, will simply look at things and say such small things that make a huge difference, such as, that looks utterly daft on somebody, or, what in the world were they thinking? My grandmother was the same way. Neither of these two individuals were particular Rhodes scholars, never really rose up to getting, the top of their tree or the top of their class or straight A student, any of that thing. But their ability to say things and make profound statements and influence those in the world around them was huge. And they did it simply by letting go of this egoic thing that we're supposed to be brilliant and we're supposed to be a certain way, we're supposed to look a certain way, we're supposed to achieve certain things. Not that that's wrong, but letting some of that go so that the authenticity of what is meant to be delivered gets delivered. Anyway, Billy said to me 15 years ago or so, it was in the early 2000s, he looked at me and he said, in my little shop up in the sky in Cotswold, you have absolutely no idea what the talent you've got. He said, you have this ability to be able to not just move hair around, cut hair, just mold it into these incredible shapes and do these incredible work. And the color is a bit like you just look at something and the color just comes right on out in through the hair. I don't know how that happens. I let go of the book smarts. And the man who taught me really to cut and colour and shape hair in England, there were several really good teachers, but the one that I think inspired me the most, his name was James. And James would do just the same thing. He was an artist and a sculptor of hair. He knew what would look great on somebody, how the bone structure would work. And I would watch him with the comb and the scissors and all of those things, mold and shift and shape and push and shove and get that hair where it needed to be. He let go of the constructs of having this piece had to go with that piece, had to go with this piece, had to balance with that piece, and this piece, all of that scientific, geometric. He let go of that construction and just went with it. Now, I am not suggesting, because it's really difficult when we live in a world where there's finger pointing and blame. Many of us that are putting a point across can get accused of downplaying education. And since what appears to me to be our education system in the US, I don't know about the rest of the world, where it's lockdown in the classroom, lockdown in the classroom. Teachers are not able to teach. And they haven't been able to teach for a while. And I'm using this as an example. When I went through teacher training, yoga is a simple connection with the person, with the individual. But then there's something that happens when a yoga teacher decides to mold a class. They are speaking to many students, but as the student listens, that's just one teacher. They've got to have this ability to get out their own way and massage the message that's in the body, that's coming from the spirit, that's allowing that student to get an aha moment from the practice. There were many teachers who went through the carpet and were not able to get out of their own way. Their ego was driving the bus. The fear, that's the ego. Ego is always attached to fear. Ego will never let you grow forward, because to grow forward, to be brilliant, to stand in that light of love means that the ego has to die. There's an incredible crescendo of love, an incredible fountain of creativity that happens when the ego gets told to sit down, be quiet, I've got this. You can see it emerging in people that at one point were so covered up in their meekness, in their weakness, in their non-confidence, covered up in all of that egoic fear, that when you watch that break up, break through, come forward and emerge, it is humongous. I see several entertainers. Sofia Vergara is one. English is not her first language, and she found a way to twist and shape and turn and work her native language and the accent that came with it into comedy and make it. Heidi Klum, English is not her first language, and the woman decided to work with the clothes. I'm sure she's not a degreed fashion designer, but she knows how clothes should work because she was a model, and she realized what shape was and how to work that shape and how to work those clothes. I'm using competition shows and entertainment as an example. So the point I'm making with dropping what you know, use the skill set that you've been taught, and then at some point take a fresh look at what you're doing. Take a fresh look at what you're saying. Take a fresh look at how you are delivering the things that you're delivering, and put your own spin on it. For doing that, we have to break past this piece that we're stupid, or that it'll look stupid, or that somebody said we were stupid. As children, many of us that are creative have been bullied. We've been told that we are these things that we then later become. The idea that we cannot be brilliant, the idea that we cannot be amazing, gets pushed and shoved and bullied and sat upon, because other people don't want us to get to be creative like that, to get to be individuals, to get to be amazing people. They're always saying that's wrong, that's not right, that looks like this, that looks like that looks terrible, that's awful. There's nothing wrong with encouraging somebody to do something a little bit better, 1% better. What could you do to make that slightly better? What could you do to balance that out more? Particularly if someone's really learning something. Personal development, personal growth comes with a messiness to it. It doesn't mean that because you got something not quite right, it's almost there, but it's not quite there. People can get disappointed in that, and others can say, oh, tell me more. Yes, I want to know more. I've got that as far as I can take it. Tell me how I get it even further. And really good coaches might say, you may have to take a step back, come back to it and look at it with fresh eyes. Dropping what you know, dropping all the constructs of how you think it should be, stops that rhetoric. It stops that automatic on and 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 on. Have you ever sat in front of a teacher where they've read from a textbook and it's just droning on. They really aren't listening to what they're saying. They're just going on and on and on and on and on. It's like the news. Here's a teleprompter. At some point, that newscaster has to make this awful news sound incredible or amazing or fantastic. You know, you watch the commercials. Oh, yesterday I was hysterical laughing at a commercial that was for a health insurance company. I'm watching this whole thing play out. The main presenter person that was, I guess, the talent was talking about the benefits of whatever this insurance company. She looked as dull as ditch water, and the different little scenarios that were going on around in the background was so staged and so automatic and so like I didn't believe any of it. Certainly would not be signing up for that insurance because it was just silly. We can watch this over and over and over play out wherever we are, whatever we're doing, in social media, if you just sit back in a room and watch people talk to each other. Just watch the habits, social habits of people. Person number one is not listening to person number two. They're too busy looking for a gap in the conversation to insert whatever they want to say. And whatever they're saying, this other person is not even listening to it. They're doing the same thing, waiting for a gap. Dropping what you know is sitting in simply listening and observing and seeing and understanding whatever this story is, whatever who this is, as a really interesting thing, a really interesting story. When I learned to stop doing the other, trying to wait for a gap in the conversation so I can insert myself, I listened more, learned more, and understand more about people. I find each conversation I have with clients, even though they come every 4 or 5 weeks, tell me about what happened here, tell me about what happened there. And then I'm like, that was interesting. And why do you think they did that? And what would you think the point would be? And we have incredible conversations. I never know what the conversation is going to be about. I never think to myself, I've got to tell them all about my woes of life because I don't really have any. When you drop what you know, when you go from your gut feeling, when you get authentic about how life is, everything about your life becomes a lot more interesting. Everything about your day becomes more interesting. You get to open your day up and say, I get to do this. I get to have something that's going on that I don't know what's going to happen, and it's all going to be an adventure. Those are the days, and this is the life that I hope all of you get to where you look at every day you start as a way to draw pictures and go through what you need to go through in a way that's interesting to you. And if you find that your day, your life, whatever you're teaching, showing, experiencing isn't interesting, and you are caught in that ditch of doubt and all that complaining, that's the indication that something's off. You're not lined up. You're not aligned. And nothing will be aligned until you can drop what you know about what you're doing and find something more interesting to do. Let's get right to these cards. Turn on this. There we go. So Father in the sky, Mother in the earth, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, all light beings of this universe, thank you for reminding us that you're present. Thank you for revealing to me what I need to know. I'm willing to listen, to receive, to serve, and to bring messages of hope and faith to all those who are listening. So be it, so shall it be. And here we go. Let's choose this one right here. What I've noticed about doing all this kind of work, it gets easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. I don't have to think too hard about it. Oh, expect miracles. Now, this is lovely. I love this because a few days ago we had this same card that popped up, and I've shuffled and I've shuffled and I've shuffled and I've shuffled, as you've seen, and here it comes again. So expect miracles. Now, why would expect miracles show up in today, drop what you know? Well, that's just obvious. When you stop thinking, overthinking, overlearning, overstudying, over getting it right, over trying to be right, miracles happen. That's as simple as I can make it. But I'm going to read this anyway because I think it's worth reading and relearning from the book. And this is from Carl Gray's, let's see, Angel Guide Oracle deck. Miracles occur naturally. They're always ready to unfold, and your angels are encouraging you to prepare yourself for them right now. A miracle doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be simple, a shift of energy that creates a wave of love in your life. If you need something positive to happen or you are praying hard for something, this card brings you the message that something exciting and healing is about to unfold for you. In order to help this along, you're being guided by your angels to recognize and honor your worth. Realize that you're absolutely worthy of miracles and they will unfold in your life. Your entire life has been brought together by miracles. They're also happening all the time, and the miracle that you need isn't a difficult one. Because in the hands of the divine, anything is possible. Place yourself in a golden light. Remember that the light of God is within you, right there, in the heart of your being, in the heart of your soul, and good things can happen for you. But in order to manifest something wonderful in your life, you have to believe that it's possible. You could be seeing the miracle you need as impossible or even too big. Ultimately, this is exactly what is blocking it from happening. So, change it now. Your angel's guide is inviting you to open your mind and heart to see what you need is being delivered to you. Feel that it's already in your life. Feel grateful for all the blessings, and you'll allow the miracles you'll allow the miracles you deserve to unfold miraculously. So I'm hoping that's landing and making sense. We have to have this faith that the miracles we want to have happen are always happening, and they're natural. There's what's supposed to happen. By sitting in the space of gratitude, thanking God, angels, creator, source energy, for all the things that you have already achieved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And acknowledging it, you open that door wide for new to come. And it's very difficult and challenging at a time in society, in culture, where everywhere we see, everywhere we look, is doom and gloom and doom and gloom and doom and gloom. I don't know how that changes. I don't know what changes. This big fear that somehow, some way, shape, form, or whatever, we're all going to succumb to whatever virus is coming, this dark looming cloud. There's a fear. And what happens when people get fearful? They do things out of character. They don't do things within joy. They don't do things within love and fun and having a good time. They do things to the opposite. Because the idea of some societies and some cultures is to keep people oppressed, to keep people stuck down behind the line, to not let them be creative or honest. And I believe that at the heart of all of us, that love, that gooey, that ooey, that wonderful spark that is in everyone, the spark that's in a child, the spark that's in a toddler, the spark that's in a student, and all of a sudden they get it and they leap up out of their seat saying, oh my God, I've got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. And they run around like a banshee. That spark is in every one of us. It lives in all of us. The ability to dream. So why in the world would you trust or believe in or follow anyone or anything that is all about shoving that somewhere where the sun doesn't shine? I mean, I just don't get it. I don't understand that. I never have. I've never thought that following someone who's blah, 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 the Debbie Downers, all that. I don't know that that works. It doesn't work for me for long. It once I get that feeling of dread, that feeling of oh my gosh, and it happens. I'm like, I'm looking for the light. I'm looking for the joy. I'm looking to have that big, deep belly laugh. All right, my friends, I love you. And until next time, be well, have fun, and just go with the flow. Bye.